What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on what if Deku was transported to danmachi 6.5. Now, where we last left off, well, actually, we haven't even left off anywhere yet. So, meanwhile, while Deku was going out for the dungeon and talking with Az about his equipment and stuff that he had just recently ordered, everyone over in the My Hero verse were freaking out over Deku's sudden disappearance. People were wondering where Izuku had gone. He had just suddenly disappeared one day, and it has been almost 2 weeks since then. Eventually, All Might ended up talking with the other personnel there. He ended up speaking with, personnel with more space-related quirks to see if anything had happened that was related to Izuku. Like, did he get teleported somewhere? And then a weird thing happened where where one of the personnel said that Izuku was originally hunting down a villain that was known for teleporting people into areas that no one knew where they would teleport to. This brought a cold shiver down All Might's spine. He was very scared about this sudden information that he had just gotten. All Might then went around talking to people, seeing if he could tell, like, anything, if he knew anything about Izuku at all. They all said no, they didn't. Izuku had been missing for a long time. Eventually, All Might started to freak out way more and was very confused about everything that was going on. So, Izuku was starting to, All Might was freaking out. Eventually, he realized that Izuku was transported to a different world, but he didn't know where. No one he knew had a quirk that, worked with transportation as well. So eventually, All Might started to, representatively freak out. He was trying to think of multiple different things that he could do to hopefully find where Izuku was at. But he couldn't. There was almost nothing he could do to help assist him. Eventually, the Class 1A just thought that Izuku had died. All Might knew Izuku had teleported, but Class 1A didn't know that. Izuku's situation was left ambiguous. No one knew what happened to the young hero. All they know is that Izuku just randomly disappeared one day. They all figured Izuku maybe got caught by villains and was tortured or something else. It wasn't uncommon for heroes to die in the line of business. The one that took the information the hardest was Izuku's mother, Inko. After hearing that her baby boy had disappeared, almost broke into tears instantly. She was very much so saddened by the fact that Izuku had an apparent disappearance. More so than anyone else that anyone knew did. Eventually, Bakugo started to curse himself for not being strong enough to help out Izuku at times, while most of the other people decided to work and become stronger to kind of memento Izuku's death. Eventually, what happened afterwards was all the personnel working harder. All Might still really didn't believe in the whole entire factor that Izuku, didn't exist or wasn't here. So eventually, after lots of time, All Might finally found a personnel that had a quirk that could maybe help him find Izuku. Sadly, this personnel was really far away, unable to even talk with All Might or even get to know All Might himself, which was one of the rule sets for the personnel. All Might didn't like that the personnel was super far away, and really disliked how he had to wait for an extended period of time just to discuss with the person about asking him to help save Izuku. All Might had known that Izuku was probably alive in a different world, knowing that the boy was very resourceful with his actions and that he should be able to still hold off most other issues that most people would be able to do onto him. But All Might didn't know about the extent of the world he was in. He didn't know how it was or what kind of life Izuku was living. Eventually, while that was all going on, Uraraka had a different thought process. She knew her ability allowed anti-gravity to affect people and was wondering if her quirk could, help increase the chance. If she can create gravity, she might be able to create like a wormhole or something and help save Izuku. It was a long shot, but it was a wish that she had. She ended up talking with 13 for a bit, and 13 basically denounced her idea of the action that she wanted to commit, saying that A, it was nonsensical, and B, that's not how quirks worked, which kind of upsetted Uraraka, but also understood where she was coming from. The base aspect of it was that Uraraka couldn't just magic a quirk into existence just because she wanted to. She then remembered that Eri existed. Now, Eri wasn't the best when it came to this situation. There was almost nothing that Eri could do. But eventually, Uraraka started to think about it and said that if Eri had used her quirk ability, then maybe Uraraka can rewind time. Well, if Eri mastered her ability, maybe she could rewind time. It was a very ballsy statement, but it was a statement Uraraka full-heartedly believed in. She believed that Eri should be able to do this. It's not outside of her range, in Uraraka's opinion. But then again, it didn't change the factor that if Eri was to do this, it didn't matter. Eri at base, even if she was able to do this, it wouldn't change the fact that Izuku currently was in a different dimension. The personnel that would be brought back wouldn't be Izuku, it would be someone different. Eventually, Uraraka gave up with her mindless quest until eventually she met a man. This man talked to her in a more forgiving attitude, almost like he knew the pain Uraraka was experiencing. You want to see your friend, yes? Your friend is in a very different place. Currently, there isn't much your friend can do to help escape the torment that he's experiencing, but maybe with you, he can help escape it. Uraraka was very confused about this. First off, she had never seen this man before, and the man was starting to talk to her. But at this point, she was willing to try anything if it meant that she could save Izuku. She then said, "Who are you?" "Who am I doesn't matter. I'm too old to really talk as much as I used to. If you ever need me, come to this location. If you decide to." Uraraka looked at the sheet of paper that the man had given her. It looked like it was a location for what Uraraka could tell, a bar, which kind of confused Uraraka. She's wondering why the man had given her a bar combo. Eventually, she decided to not care much about it and left. She ended up following the man into the area and he led her into this room. The room itself left very little to be desired. Almost like there was nothing in there at all. Inside the room there was a single chair. The man told Uraraka to sit down. She did so with a begrudgingly attitude. Eventually the man told Uraraka, "Your friend sadly is in a complex situation." "Okay, and what's the situation?" Uraraka asked. The man then stated that, "Well, you see, young miss, your friend himself really can't do much currently about his situation, but you can. See, there's someone very specific that I need you to go find for me. See, my quirk allows me to deactivate someone else's quirk for a time being and then copy it and use it, as well as assist other people with using the quirk as well. So you can assist me by giving me someone else's quirk for a time being? Yes, and the quirk I give you should allow you to, well, let's just say help rescue your little friend of yours." Uraraka eventually understood what the man was saying and asked her what she had to do. The man then stated, "Well, you see, miss, you need to help me out. See, I need some information on UA, you know, the prestigious hero school. Yeah, I need information on it. And I want you to give me the information I need. I also need you to find the quirk user I'm looking for." The man then handed Uraraka a small sheet of paper. The sheet of paper labeled multiple different things, but it labeled a man on the picture. The man looking very similar to the person that Izuku was tracking down. Eventually Uraraka understood what she had to do and knew that she needed to help, well, Deku out. Deku had done so much for her that she had basically almost taken him for granted, seeing how she hadn't really done much for Izuku, but Izuku had done a lot for her, which really made her regret her decisions now that Izuku was gone, which kind of saddened her. Eventually Uraraka took the paper with a stern look of determination on her face. Eventually, she got the information that the man looked for. The information was mainly about the quirks of all the different heroes that were currently attending UA, as well as mainly All Might's quirk. Even though Uraraka couldn't find information on All Might's quirk, the man didn't seem too upset about it. She tried to ask the man why he needed to know All Might's quirk information. The man said, "I'm a big fan of All Might. As you know, almost all All Might fans want to know what All Might's quirk is, seeing how it's such a closely guarded secret." Uraraka reminded herself that the man was kind of a peculiar guy, so she didn't really mind trying to help the man with receiving information. Eventually, the man ended up making do on his promise. He said that one of his friends had spotted the man that they were looking for, and Uraraka instantaneously knew what time it was. She ended up finding out where the man lived and realized that he had a family and children of his own. But Uraraka didn't think much about it because she figured that she was only going to be borrowing the man for the time being, not really using him in any way, shape, or form, just borrowing him to make finding Izuku way easier, or getting Izuku way easier. Eventually, Uraraka kidnapped the man, bringing the man to where the man told her. She eventually started to calling the man in the suit, the man in the suit. The man in the suit was Uraraka's best ticket to finding where Izuku is. And she said that this guy that Uraraka just, for lack of a better word, kidnapped, could assist them. Uraraka knew the man in the suit wasn't lying, because she had personally looked up the man's quirk and realized that his quirk was to allow the person to be teleported to a random location, and also realized that this was the man that Izuku was hunting before, he got disappeared. Eventually, the man in the suit ended up doing something to the other man. And he then looked towards Uraraka, saying, "Well, I now know where the kid is. But sadly, we can't access him just yet." Uraraka, very confused about this, asked why. And the man had stated, "For the simplest reason that he does not want to come back yet." This confused Uraraka, and feeling like she was kind of betrayed by Izuku. Izuku didn't want to come back where he was from? What does that mean? Eventually, the man said that in about 2 months' time, I can send you there, so you can try to convince the boy to come back. But until then, you're going to have to still keep on helping me gather information and stuff. Uraraka agreed to this, as she left the room with the other man sitting in the chair still tied up. And that's going to be where we leave off this episode, guys. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. I'm sorry if I sounded weird today. My throat's been messed up for the last couple of days. So once again, I apologize. And until next time, goodbye.